Welcome to the Agency Uplift podcast, where we go past the highlight reel and dig into what actually builds a strong agency. Clear foundations, better decisions, and the courage to scale on purpose. I'm your host, Sean Lang, co-founder of Social Commerce Club and advisor to agency owners, and this is going to be another solo episode. This is something a little different, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I think this will be kind of fun. So I love using AI to expand my contexts, allow me to go deeper into all of the data points that I've been collecting on agencies. Ever since I started Agency Uplift, I've talked to a dizzying amount of agency owners. I've also audited and ran diagnostics on a dizzying amount of agency owners. And I thought, I'm sitting on an absolute treasure trove of insight. And what better reason to make an episode than to dig through that data? So here's actually what I did is, I don't know if any of you have used Google Notebook LM. This is a fantastic tool that I love to use to get context on large data sets. I love to add client call transcripts in there to kind of just really get, general idea of where we're at, what we talked about in the last call. It's a great way to just sort of sift through and identify patterns. And so what I've done is I've taken not only the actual diagnostics of the agency diagnostics that I've done for agency owners, but I've actually taken the transcripts of the calls. So this is going to be completely anonymized. There are no agency owners or agencies directly identified in this, but I thought it'd be really, really interesting to identify sort of the top sentiments, the top patterns that have come out of, I don't even know how many diagnostics I've done now, but it's a lot. So based on my big collection of agency diagnostic transcripts, let's actually read through this, okay? This is the first time I'm seeing it. None of these are going to be a surprise to me, but I think that these are going to be very, very insightful for you, the listener, because you're an agency owner, and chances are a lot of these are going to resonate very, very strongly with you. So I'm calling this the current state of agencies. So pattern number 1 is constant overwhelm and burnout. Agency owners frequently describe being trapped in day-to-day operations, working excessive hours, and a really common number that I hear is 12 hours. I've heard people say upwards of 16 hours a day, but 12 hours a day is very, very common. Experiencing profound exhaustion. They are constantly firefighting, to use their words, and their to-do lists are never ending. This leads to them feeling tired of working on this or feeling stuck in the trenches, and kind of a general sense that the agency feels a lot harder than it should. Many express a desire for relief and for growth to feel lighter, not heavier. And I don't know, depending on where you are in your agency journey, but I will say that as soon as we started to grow, and I always told myself in the beginning, once we grow, things will get easier, things will get better. That's not what happened. As soon as we started to grow, everything started to feel heavier, and the burden on my shoulders got bigger, and the things that I felt I needed to fix got bigger, and my to-do list got longer, and it just got harder and harder and harder. So this definitely resonates personally with me, possibly with you as well. Pattern number 2, fragile business structure and lack of scalable systems. A pervasive issue is the absence or inadequacy of documented processes and SOPs, leading to knowledge residing primarily in the founder's head. This makes delegation of tasks risky and fragile and causes lots of rework, and it ultimately prevents the growth and creates chaos. Owners often express a strong resistance to doing it, even though they know that they need it so bad, because they look at past attempts as wasted effort because it didn't work. Again, super common. Everyone says, I know I need processes and SOPs. I know I need to document it. I know I just don't have time to do it, or I did it before and it didn't work. Pattern number 3, financial insecurity and hidden profit leaks. It should be no surprise. This is how it felt for me for a long time too, but many founders harbor deep-seated anxiety about money, even when they're profitable, because the money just feels like it's disappearing. It comes in and it goes out. It comes in and that feels good, and then it goes out and that doesn't feel so good. And if you're not tracking things, then you're going to feel in a constant state of sort of fight or flight. So this stems from a lack of client-level profitability tracking, resulting in invisible margin leaks, pricing guesswork, and the risk of high effort, low margin clients. And we all have a few clients in mind the minute that you hear that phrase. This financial pressure often forces difficult ethical compromises, such as taking on bad fit clients just because we need the revenue, we want the money. And some owners express irrational anxiety about potential cash flow shortages, despite having healthy finances. Another pattern, client mismatches and dissatisfaction. The pressure to acquire clients often leads to agencies to compromise on their ideal client profile or their ICP, if they even have one, and you should have one, which results in them taking on those bad fit clients who become annoying and really frustrating. And these mismatches lead to scope creep, margin erosion, resentment, and ultimately a high churn risk. And in my personal experience, and in a lot of the clients that I'm coaching currently, you often end up bending over backwards for these clients, only to lose money on them and for them to leave. A particular acute pain point is the dread of receiving calls asking, what's wrong with your company when client results aren't visible. I know that we've all had the client from hell who basically just talks down to you. And honestly, in some situations, they should never talk to you that way, but in some situations, their frustration is actually, it's correct, because you should never have taken them on as a client, but you did. And now they're unhappy with the results that you're giving them. Another pattern is difficulty hiring and team performance issues. Agency owners report a significant struggle to find and retain the quote-unquote right people, experiencing inconsistent quality from hires or contractors, often dealing with unqualified applicants. The lack of objective hiring processes, for example, scorecards or paid tests, and inadequate team management, like, nobody has a clear KPI or a clear goal, leads to lots of rework, lots of frustration, and just a fragile team overall. This is exacerbated by the observation that people are people, and they're the most chaotic part of any business. And this is why we need structure. People are people, and that's the best and the worst thing about them. And this is why we need structure, because we want to get all the goodness out of these people and let them feel free to be creative within their zone. If you don't define the zone, if you don't give them the boundaries, they're not going to perform according to what you're looking for. Another pattern is stagnant or limited growth. A recurring theme is that the founder is acting as an invisible limiter or choke point, or word that I like to use is bottleneck, causing the agency's revenue to plateau, or making further growth feel harder than it should. This inability to scale beyond the founder's personal capacity and unstructured systems leads to a sense of stalled growth and a longing to transition out of the rework and into CEO level leverage. And again, it is because you are the bottleneck. I've done a number of episodes on this at this point, so I won't belabor the point. Another pattern here is loss of control and ambiguity. Guys, I need another coffee here. So owners frequently feel that their operations are messy, gray, and amorphous, and then leading to constant need for context switching and energy drain. The presence of what I like to refer to as process graveyards with conflicting document versions, like which is the right one, which is the wrong, like nobody knows what the right one is because there's just a big folder full of documents. This causes confusion for the teams. One quote was, "Oh my God, this is why Marco is so confused." And that's why. And a general lack of clarity on what done looks like. One of my core values relates to, one of my core values is ruthless clarity. And I qualify that by saying that ambiguity is a growth killer. And this, I will die on this hill. If you don't have clarity, you are limiting your growth. You cannot make proper decisions, good ones or bad ones. You're gambling at that point. And I think that a lot of us, we are running around like chickens with our heads cut off, just putting out fires because we don't have clarity. We need to slow down and get clarity. All right. And the final pattern we're going to talk about today is, and this is a really, really tough one, is internal conflict and lack of partner and or team alignment. Significant friction arises from three owners, and by owners, I'm talking about agency owners, from three agency owners having completely different management styles and different expectations, or resistance to process changes, or unclear contributions among the partners. This internal discord creates tension and it hinders collective progress, with founders noting invisible rules that cause tension. The struggle to gain partner buy-in for necessary changes is a major impediment. If you don't have clarity on what all of your rules are and what the expectations are and what good looks like and what good doesn't look like, then I'm sorry, but you're not going to grow. You need to have that level of accountability, not just on your team, but for you and your partners as well. So these are things that I talk about all day long. I mean, obviously on the podcast, but also with the agency owners that are my clients that I'm coaching, and then also in the agency diagnostics that I do. I don't often do this on the podcast. I try to keep the podcast very, very value forward, and I try not to ask too often. But with every agency that I do a diagnostic for, I see the same pattern. Almost no one is doing it any better. And this is sort of a pervasive problem across the entire industry. So I want to remind you, I do one-on-one coaching with digital agency owners, and I help with this. If you are curious on, first off, maybe just getting a diagnostic for your agency to see like how do you compare where the gaps are and what a roadmap would look like to fix that, contact me on my website. Or if you just want to see what working together would look like, I like to meet with pretty much everyone who wants to meet with me. I love meeting agency owners. And so all you need to do is go to agencyuplift.co, scroll all the way down to the bottom and book a 30-minute discovery call. I would be happy to talk with you, learn all about your agency, offer value if I can. And yeah, I'm here. I'm rooting for you. You've definitely got this. Cheers.